Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Going On Daily Live Morning Show, Season 3, Episode 45, Rome. We're going to roam today. I'm here. I'm Sharon Clark, and with my amazing co-host, Chuck Allen. How are you this morning, Chuck?
I am amazing. I hope you are as well, Sharon. We're going to have a lot of fun today.
We are. We always do. Life is good. I love co-hosting with you. Life is really fun.
It's interesting.
It is. It is. So this morning, we are talking about a whole host of different things. And we are going to start off with, a beautiful question. Are you sure you want a fairy tale ending? Because this week our theme is fairy tales. And Chuck is going to ask the question, are you sure that you want a fairy tale ending?
Indeed, because I think of fairy tales as very nice and lovey and all kinds of great things happen in fairy tales, right? In theory, these all have these wonderful tales where people fall in love and they meet their real people and everything that they're supposed to do turns out right. But I did a little bit of research on fairy tales the other day, and I came to find out fairy tales have not always been sunshine and rainbows, my friend. Now, back in the early days of the 1600s, the fairy tale. Whoa, what just happened?
I know.
Why did we get all like, hey, everybody, coming at you live?
Woo! Coming at you live, exactly.
Fairy tales back in the day had a completely different purpose, and it was more or less like the prehistoric version of the public service announcements, like don't do drugs or don't join gangs or do all this stuff. Yeah. Fairy tales back in the day, this was kind of the warning that they gave to people in that it wasn't so much a children's story in the early days of fairy tales as much as it was a warning in which they discussed several topics, including famine, death, poverty, abuse, and survival.
Yes.
Because back then, childhood wasn't viewed the same way it is today. No. So the stories did not get softened up for the younger audiences. It was more a cautionary tale to those who were doing bad things. And some examples of some early, I guess we'll call these drafts of some of our favorite fairy tales. Little Red Riding Hood. We love the story of Little Red Riding Hood, right? She's got the whole deal going on and she's doing her thing. This is exactly what happened. Little Red Riding Hood in the initial draft, she was basically destroyed and basically decimated. She was ripped to shreds, as the comment states. Yes. Little Red Riding Hood's first venture into storytelling didn't end well. Not a good fairy tale ending for her. Cinderella. We all love the story of Cinderella. She's got to get that shoe on and it's got to fit, and she's going to meet Prince Charming and all that stuff. And as we recall, the stepsisters were a little bit of, they were maybe a little bit of haters back in the day. They were jealous.
Mean girls.
One thing they didn't show is this was this was kind of the preface to where we are today with people modifying their bodies and putting injections and fillers and all. In the original Cinderella, the stepsisters actually were cutting their toes off so that their feet could fit into the shoes. And of course, this had to be cleaned up and changed because we don't want to read that nighttime story to our children and tell them about, the wicked stepsisters that were cutting their toes off so they could get the man.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
So these stories were written by the Brothers Grimm.
Indeed.
The Brothers Grimm lived in the woods in a shack. From what my research, I could be wrong. Like, if you've got different research, please share.
I think you're spot on.
Where did they come up with women cutting off their toes to fit into shoes? Where did that visual come from? Because usually these stories are on lived experience, right? Well, some sort of experience somewhere. It's not
name was Grimm for a reason too. They may have experienced some things.
It's not
in order to do research. They may have seen this.
Like, it's not like they were sitting around watching movies on their TV.
No, definitely not. They were
isolated in this little cabin, writing these horror stories.
They were the originators. They were like Stephen King way before Stephen King. Yeah. And you do have to stop and think. why were these thoughts coming into their minds? They were out in a cabin in the woods by themselves. A little bit weird, but I guess in different times, maybe not as weird as it would be in modern.
Yeah, no. Back in the day, that's totally acceptable, but
it does seem as though there may have been some heinous activities going on in their cabin in the woods. Which,
yep.
I don't want to look at that too deep and find out what was really going on, but there was definitely a catalyst for the psychopathic nature of their early works.
And
I'm very thankful that someone saw these and was like, you know what? Those are good stories. We just need to tidy them up a little bit, make them a little more PC, a little kid friendly, and they'll do just fine. But yeah, Stephen King's more than just a bit odd. He's also crazy. And you start to realize something when you see these people, you realize, well, these are probably thoughts that he actually had, and he was just able to translate them into paper, because Stephen King looks like a crazy dude that you probably wouldn't be locked in a cabin in the woods with either. So
he was a school teacher, I believe, was he not? Stephen King?
I don't know anything about Stephen King. I don't like horror stories at all. I'm more of a fairy tale guy, but this was before I realized that fairy tales were actually morbid and gruesome and grotesque. Yeah. Now I think I'm just going to switch to I like the cartoons. That's going to be my thing. So the reality of this is, with these early days, it says fairy tales were not meant to be cozy bedtime stories. They were seen as survival guides, moral warnings, psychological metaphors, and reflections of harsh historical realities. And darkness was not accidental in these stories. It was the point. So we know not every fairy tale has a happy ending, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a great example of why maybe you don't want that fairy tale wedding. Maybe you don't want that fairy tale scenario, because if it includes the prehistoric versions and you got to cut your feet off in order to get your prince, you may not want to do that. Another one that they showed here was Snow White. Poor Snow White. The queen was forced to dance in red hot iron shoes. I did not know that. And I do know that there are a lot of extra meanings in some of the cartoons that we come back and watch over the years. But now that I know that some of these things are pretty crazy, the moral warnings here for the kids: don't trust strangers.
That's right.
That's a timeless classic right there. I don't trust strangers to this day. Exactly. Don't wander off. That's pretty good advice in modern times as well. Don't be cruel.
Yes.
Don't be cruel. I say that's good, because if you're cruel, you'll probably end up getting tortured like these children in the books were getting. And the last one is don't disobey your parents. And I know that there's a reason there, and that's because same thing. Back in the day, parents treated kids differently. And if you disobeyed your parents in the 1600s, you got to go out and find your own little switch that you'd get whipped with. And everybody was cool with it back then. That was before child abuse was really, frowned upon. So are you sure you want a fairy tale ending? I say not. I'd rather have a realistic expectation, and it'll just be good because I'll make it that way, rather than relying on the hopes and dreams that I get the good, happy ending instead of the sad one. I'm just going to create my own destiny. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we kick off Fairy Tale Week.
Well, and so you heard it here first. Chuck doesn't want a fairy tale ending. He wants a happy ending.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It could be a fairy tale, but it needs to be post 1800s in order for it to suit my needs. So there you go. That's the fairy tale I'm looking for.
And what was the fairy tale ending in the 1800s? A, that they lived.
Right. That sounds cool.
B, that did they even know what happiness was back in the day? What was happiness to them?
I bet happiness to them was you go out to the horse and carriage. The horse has some new shoes on it. Maybe you got it shined up for the week. You're getting ready to ride into town and, buy some groceries or do whatever you do. And life is just good. You don't have to worry about what's on social media back in the day. You don't have all this stupidity going on like we have now. And I'd be willing to bet that life in the 1800s was pretty darn cool.
You think? Because it'd be pretty darn harsh. It'd be cold. They're living in shacks with no insulation. And
I mean, you got to trade off a little bit of good for bad, right? I mean, I think I would live in a house with no insulation that was cold in exchange for not having social media anymore. I'd be willing to do that in my life. I'd be willing to.
I actually am not far behind you because I would. So getting rid of all the social media platforms wouldn't bother me in one iota. Would not even.
I guess I need to keep them now because I do use them for advertising for my business. So without it, you guys wouldn't know to call Rio Blanco Roofing and Restoration, San Antonio's finest roofing and restoration company. So social media is still important, but I'd get rid of all the bad stuff on social media. I would go back in time if I could, and I would recreate Facebook, but I would make it to where it's like happy all the time instead of everybody arguing and being mad, which I think was the ultimate design. And I think it's accomplishing exactly what it was meant to do, which is everybody having an opinion and everybody hating those with other opinions that don't match yours. And I think I could go back and change that. I am pretty good at that.
Yes.
If you're in San Antonio, that is.
Well, and surrounding areas, I would imagine. Rio Blanco Roofing services surrounding areas to San Antonio.
It does say San Antonio and Central Texas, so you would be correct.
There you go. Perfect.
Anyway, there we go. Fairy Tale Week.
Off
to a great start. I get to start off these weeks a lot, and when I start them off, I usually start them off with something kind of weird, and then all the other hosts for the rest of the week get to rein it back in and make it seem normal again.
Well, no, because I'm going to take it and run with it. My segment about fairy tales is very much down along the lines of what you did. So we're going to continue that trend today. Okay. So absolutely. Fools seldom differ, but that's okay. We won't, that's not us. Anyways, we're going to pay some bills now. This is the Going On Daily Morning Show. You can watch us live on Kick, YouTube, and Rumble at Rhode Island Broadcasting, or you can watch us live at Twitch at RI_broadcasting and X at Broadcasting RI. So you've got a plethora of places to watch us live. Choose your favorite one. And you can listen to us on Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music at RIBroadcasting. And also at MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Gab, Parler, Space, Patreon at RI Broadcasting. So lots and lots of platforms on all the platforms. But the most important one, people, and we can't stress this enough, is follow us on Facebook at Going On Daily Morning Show. You can find us at Going On Daily Morning Show on Facebook. We would love to have you follow us. We've got a lot of good things happening there. And be part of the Going On Daily family. We would really, really like that. It's a family vibe at the Going On Daily Morning Show on Facebook. And you can also support the show. Give us your 2 bits. Give us your 3 bits. Give us your bit at RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. And at RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net, you can vote for our monthly Hall of Fame. So this month, it is 90s shows. So our choices this month are Twin Peaks, The X-Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Oz, and ER. If you like a little McDreamy, go for your ER. You can also... our producer says the X-Files are crushing it with 70%. So the X-Files way ahead right now. So get on there and vote, people. If you like Twin Peaks, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Oz, or ER, have your voice heard. Let them win the Hall of Fame this month. So you can also vote by using the QR code. And Chuck and I have both used it live on air last week. Kyle used it live on air as well. It literally takes 10 seconds. You know how to use a QR code. Get your phone up there and then just choose what you like. It takes you right to the website. Choose the Hall of Fame of your choice, and boom, done. 10 seconds. Actually takes less time to do it than it just did for me to explain it.
It truly does. And now I know I've been very unlucky the last several months. None of my picks ever seem to make it into the Hall of Fame. I think now this is just between us. Okay. We won't tell anybody about this, but I think I'm going to go today to the QR code. I think I'm going to vote about 50, 60 times for Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
And I'm going to see what happens. If 50 or 60 votes doesn't win it for Buffy, then we know that literally millions of people are voting every month. And we appreciate that. But I just want to win once. I have not had any of my picks win yet. And I feel like I've had some really good ones. So
very disappointed. None of mine have won either. We're probably voting for the same things. But if you want to go to our website and vote online, you can go to RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. And you can see other shows that are shown on there as well. So yeah, plethora of things to do. So vote, vote, vote. If you don't want Buffy the Vampire Slayer to win, then get on there and vote today because Chuck is in it to win it.
Yes. I can't even rig it though. It still doesn't work for me. I think that, I need some help here, folks. I need some help.
Yes.
If you've ever seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it stands above this crowd right here. Even though these are all amazing programs, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was one.
I'm not surprised the X-Files is winning, actually.
I thought maybe ER would be a little bit more competitive as well, because that was a pretty popular show. I remember ER. I remember the X-Files a little bit. I don't really remember Twin Peaks at all. It's a restaurant down here in Texas, Twin Peaks.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like Hooters. They have really good food, though.
Oh, so the Peaks are...
Theoretically speaking, I don't know. They have good chicken wings, and that's all I know, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough.
Chicken wings and beer.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the theme that Chuck just brought us, scary fairy tales from around the world. Ooh. And again, Brothers Grimm. Brothers Grimm, right? So
they are grim indeed.
Ooh, their last name, like you say, suited them to a T. Unbelievable. And what were their names? Shoot, I knew this. I read this yesterday and I meant to write them down. Not that it matters, but they fascinate me. They fascinate me because they came up with all of this demented, psychologically damaging, painful things to tell to children. So what did their parents do to them? I don't even know if I want to know, but there was some shit going down there. Had to be.
Yeah, the Grimm house was not very cool. Like you did not want to go there to spend the night on Friday or Saturday. Oh, no. You didn't want to go to their events because the Grimm parents were probably not the coolest ones on the block. They weren't giving away the full-size candy bars at Halloween. They were probably really bad people. And
they were cooking the kids in the cauldron at Halloween, I'm pretty sure.
These stories may have actually been a cry for help in hindsight, and maybe we could have helped the Brothers Grimm had we been here.
Yes.
I'm actually disappointed in the people of the past for not recognizing these and saying, hey, wait a minute.
I think that was just the way it was back in the day. So thanks, Ron. Our producer said Jacob and Carl Grimm.
Oh.
And Jacob Ludwig. Okay, Jacob and Wilhelm.
Oh, and they both got the same middle name of Carl with a K.
Yeah.
And I was going to say their names were Mo and Shemp, but I think Jacob and Wilhelm is probably a little closer to the truth. It's good that we have a research team here at Going On Daily.
Absolutely.
I don't have that on my podcast, so I just make stuff up sometimes. And
you got to go with the flow, right? You got to do it.
Definitely don't take my podcast for like its word on everything. Some of that stuff may be fabricated.
The God's honest truth, but nothing fabricated about the amazing Rio Blanco roofing.
No, absolutely not.
That is not fabricated.
It is 100% documented.
Okay, so the Brothers Grimm, as you said, wrote Cinderella, Snow White, Hansel and Gretel.
Ooh.
Little Red Riding Hood, Sleeping Beauty, Rumpelstiltskin, The Frog Prince, Rapunzel. So they also wrote some other little known fairy tales that didn't get picked up, and I'll let you guys decide whether, this should have been picked up or if it could have been made funny or anything. So, or made not funny, but,
let's try to make these funny.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do here.
What's the lesson we could learn from these? So the mouse, the bird, and the sausage. This is what Germany. This was from Germany. This was by the Brothers Grimm. So a mouse, a bird, and a sausage became roommates and shared the household tasks. One of these things, my friends, is not like the other, right? Clearly.
Definitely the bird.
Bird's the word. Got a bird. Bird's the word. So, they personalize, they humanize the sausage, right? So whatever, it's a fairy tale. And it turns out the sausage is a talented cook. I mean,
interesting twist.
Yeah, exactly. Who saw that coming? But, clearly they like sausage. So in each roommate fulfills an important household function. The bird flies around looking for wood. The mouse carries the water, starts the fire, and sets the table. So the mouse is a hard worker, right? It's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. The sausage is the cook. So all the sausage has to do is cook something once the fire's ready to go. But the bird, that bird goes out and meets another bird who mocks him.
Oh.
The other bird mocks him, peer pressure, and says the other roommates are taking advantage of you because they're doing easier jobs. Well, the bird gets upset, goes home, and says to the other roommates, okay, you're taking advantage of me. We're going to switch roles. So they agree. They all switch roles, and it leads to their demise. All three of them die. So what do you think the moral of the story was there?
Don't listen to mockingbirds because they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Mockingbirds.
That is what I think. That's terrible. Don't listen to outside sources because
Exactly.
that is a tremendous lesson. That probably should have been a mainstream title.
Stay in your lane. Do what you're good at. Don't succumb to peer pressure. Right?
Exactly. And I would like to know what ended up happening, everybody's ultimate demise. Like, don't you think it'd be a strange twist of fate if they ended up eating the sausage that was the one that was actually, they made the sausage cook itself and then they ate it.
Yes. And
then
they
we
died
go back to the demented dark days.
And that's exactly it. I think that's what I was thinking too. It doesn't say how they died, but if they cooked the sausage and ate it and then died because they were a mean mouse and a mean bird, then yeah, that would be fitting. But can you imagine?
They deserved it.
Back in the day, that's what in Germany, they all died. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Very valuable lesson. We can still relay that today.
And you think about it, the sausage was the most emotionally stable one in the house. It was the sausage.
Of course.
Like, think about that.
I would have never second guessed the sausage under any circumstance. That's actually a life lesson that I live by today. Like, sausage is always the answer.
Well, Chuck, it can be on a lot of levels. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, sweetie, the moral is do not take advice from birds. Like you say, mockingbirds. It probably was a mockingbird.
As soon as you said the bird was mocking him, I was like, uh-oh, this never ends well. I've been mocked by birds in the past, and I know that none of those stories have ended happily either, so I get it.
Birds can be mean. They're meanies. Big bully birds.
Okay. Geese. I go golfing and I got to fight these geese. They come running at me and like.
Yes. Geese on a golf course. Holy heck. Talk about elf on a shelf. Geese on a golf course, man. That's crazy.
Yes. I wish. Well, I won't say that. This is a family program, so I won't say that, but I'm not a fan.
Wish they would migrate to somewhere else or stay in their lane. They need to stay in their lane and stay in because they're always by the, little pools of water.
That's probably why I have issues with them at the golf course because I'm usually by the pools of water myself. My golf ball usually ends up right on the cusp of evaporating into thin air. And this is where I get to meet all the wildlife. There's snakes and coyotes and all kinds of cool stuff out there.
Coyotes are okay. You can see them coming. Snakes, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, you would think here in Texas, I don't see snakes as much as I thought I would when I moved here. I saw more snakes when I lived in North Carolina by far. Wow. And I'm okay with that. I mean,
wow.
If we could eradicate all the snakes from Texas like they did in Hawaii, that would be awesome.
Did they eradicate all the snakes in Hawaii?
There are no snakes in Hawaii. None. Not a single snake.
How did they do that?
I have no idea, but that's what I love about Hawaii.
Wow.
When I went there back in 2017, they're like, there are no snakes anywhere in the entire Hawaiian Islands.
Now,
I never saw one, so I was like,
As if we needed another reason to visit Hawaii. There we go,
Right?
folks. No snakes. You heard it here first.
I would totally live in Hawaii if I got the opportunity.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people say. Once you go there, they just don't want to go anywhere else.
I almost died there, and it would have been all right. It would have been okay if I died when I was in Hawaii.
Wow.
I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now, but
that would have made me sad.
I would have, I would have been dead for like 18 years or whatever by now,
Yeah.
but still, it would have been cool.
You were doing something you loved, I guess?
No, not really. I was doing something I absolutely did not want to do, which was I jumped off of a cliff. And I was on a cruise, and I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but I will tell you the story because I almost died. I was in Hawaii, and I went on a 15-day cruise.
Okay.
And so the first 5 days, you're like full of excitement, and you're, this is going to be awesome. All the people on the boat are still really cool for the first 5 days because you're anticipating that you're going to Hawaii.
Yes.
Everybody's happy. Everybody loves it. We're great. The energy is awesome. The food's good. The second 5 days, you're actually at the Hawaiian Islands. So every night you would go throughout the night and you'd end up in the morning at a different island, right?
Yep.
And that's cool. So we were going to go to Maui.
Okay.
I love Maui. But I started shooting my mouth off. And I was by far the youngest person on this cruise ship. It was a weird dynamic. Like I went there, but I was like by far the youngest person. It was a upscale cruise line, and it was cool. But I start running my mouth about halfway through this trip about how, I'll do the cliff diving and this and that. Well, people were actually listening to me, and I didn't realize this when I was saying it. So we get to this area where the cliff diving is, and I got all these elderly people. And by this point, it'd been like, 10, 11 days that we'd been out there. And I made some friends on the boat. So they were, we want to see Chuck jump off the cliff. And I don't know if it's because I became their friends or they were just annoyed to the point where they're like, throw this idiot off the cliff, right? So I got to get on this cliff diving thing. And I tried my hardest to make it look like I was being a gentleman, but I was really just kind of scared. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to waste everybody's time. Y'all came here for vacation, and nobody came here just to see me do this and take. And of course, they're like, no, Chuck. And I'm like, okay, I guess I got to do it.
Yeah.
So I walk to the edge. It's like 40 feet down. It's far. 40 feet's way further than it seems. Oh, yeah. And I'm still okay with it because I'm like, well, it's Hawaii. This is a one-time deal. I jump down, or as soon as I'm getting ready to jump, this kid that goes before me starts drowning in the water. The guard or whatever, the tour guide, has to jump in and like save this dude. He's crying and screaming and I'm like, oh God, like, okay, that sounds like pretty bad. So now they're like, all right, Chuck, now it's your turn. Great. This is a motivational speech like I did not need. This kid is still screaming and crying and all this. And now it's my turn to jump.
Sounds like the Brothers Grimm wrote it.
Holy cow, right? So something you don't think about when you jump 40 feet and you weigh 220 pounds, when you hit the water, you go down really far. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not prepared for this in my mind because I've never jumped off a 40-foot cliff. I don't know what to expect. I do a pencil dive because I didn't want to hurt my head. Mm-hmm. I was willing to break my spine and my legs and all that, but I didn't want to hurt my head. Yeah. So I jump and I don't realize, okay, when I hit the water, somewhere between the jump and the water, I exhale.
Oh, no.
So I'm going into the water with no air in my lungs, and I start going down, 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 and you get far, far down, but there's nothing to ever spring back up because you never hit the bottom. So I've got no air in my lungs. I'm probably 25 feet below the surface, and I start freaking out. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to die. And I'm like, trying to get to the top, and I'm hyperventilating, and like, I saw my whole life pass before my eyes. This must have been 10 seconds, maybe not even. But I thought I was dead, right? And I start panicking, and I'm, I get to the top, and I'm doing the whole, and I get out, and everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? And as soon as I was done, you know what happened? The guy that's supposed to go behind me said he didn't want to go, and they completely allowed him to not do it. So I think they wanted me to drown. I think they were encouraging me to lose my breath and stop with my nonsense. But I did almost die in Maui jumping off a cliff. And I don't know what that has to do with anything that we're talking about right now, but there you go.
Terrifying experience. Snow snakes. You started with the no snakes.
Yeah, there were no snakes in Hawaii, and I ended up almost dying. So
wow.
There you go.
Well, we're glad. We're glad you didn't.
And no, I did not learn anything. I would probably do the same thing again. Only maybe I would not let all my breath out before I hit the water next time.
But when you're going down, you're thinking about hitting the water. I can see how you would, because you're not thinking about take a big breath in and hold it. You're like, okay.
It was a very sketchy situation that I don't recommend to any normal people. If you're crazy, you probably do that stuff all the time, like jumping out of planes and stuff. Jumping into a cave is probably not a big deal, but I will never do it again. But I can say that I did it, and somewhere there are photos of me jumping off of a cliff. So
very cool. Well, at least the lifeguard didn't have to jump in and save you, so that's a bonus.
Exactly. I was able to save myself from that horrible situation, and I'm here today to talk about it all these years later.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's go to Russia now. This little fairy tale, back to the Brothers Grimm. This little fairy tale is about never washing. So, in the story of Never Wash, an out-of-work soldier is offered a job by a young devil. He wants him to stop shaving, stop cutting his hair, don't change his clothes, and don't blow his nose for 15 years.
Did this guy own a roofing company? Just saying.
But not blowing your nose for 15 years? I don't know. I can't even. That would, yeah. Anyways, the soldier is not bothered. He says, yeah, sure, I'll do it, whatever. As long as he's going to be given money and he's going to marry a Tassavina, like the king's daughter.
Okay.
So the 14-year mark, or the Tsar's daughter. The Tsar needs money and asks the soldier for a loan. The soldier agrees that one of the servants will give him the money as long as he marries one of the daughters. So the first daughters 1 and 2 say, no, I'll take my chances with the devil. I am not marrying this dirty guy. And the third one says, well, okay, you know what? Hopefully God has a sweet plan for me. I'll take the dirty soldier boy. So he lasts another year. And then, okay, so after his 15 years, he hasn't bathed, he hasn't cut his hair, he's just roaming these dirty white boy right there. So the devil then cuts him up into little pieces.
Oh.
Throws them into a cauldron and brews him. And he brews him. And then he dumps him out, washes him all up, collects all his bones, and one by one puts him back together. And then he splashes water on all his bits. And the soldier comes back to life, and he's really good looking. Oh. So daughter number 3 is like, woo, right on. Look at me go. Look what I got, right? The frog turns into a prince. But so the soldier marries daughter number 3. So now there's an older devil in this story too. He finds out and he's furious with the young devil and says, you were unable to corrupt the soldier. You were unable to get him to bathe or, do anything. Like, you're useless. And the young devil says, yeah, but I got 2 princesses. The other one can have the soldier. I got 2 princesses' souls.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Story.
That is tremendous too. See, there you go. And that was almost like there was a punchline at the end of the story. So that one, that could be considered a prehistoric comedy.
So don't make a deal with the devil, I believe, is the.
I think that's the lesson that we all could take from this story. And also, it is not worth going 15 years without bathing or cutting your hair or not blowing your nose, because you will just get chopped up at the end. And sure, you do get the ultimate prize at the end, but really, would you really like to go through getting chopped up and put into a cauldron in order to get there? Nobody really explained that at the beginning. I'm sure the guy would have said,
not sure the princess is worth that. And by the way, this segment of the program is sponsored by soap. Please use it, people.
There you go. I say this every morning at the gym. There's two people that need to hear this lesson, and
and
maybe they'll
deodorant.
say this today, and they'll know it's me. There you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Or is the moral, stay disgusting long enough and you'll end up on top? I don't know. I don't really know what the moral is, but
there's one somewhere.
Yeah. When you're dealing with the devil, skip one bath, and suddenly you're in a cauldron.
Yeah.
That's all that would come to me when I was reading the stories. Like, oh, you miss one bath and look out. You're in a cauldron getting cutting up.
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
I overcompensate the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I might too. But all right, now we're going to go on to Nigeria. And this is a little bit different, but probably fits in with their cultural backgrounds. I'm not sure. And how did the Brothers Grimm know about all these different cultures? This is the other thing. They lived in a cabin in the woods. How'd they know what was going on in Germany and what's going on in Nigeria? And, I don't know.
It does beg the question.
So there was this headstrong and young lady who would not abide by her parents' choice of suitors. They kept bringing her old, ugly, rich dudes. And she didn't want it. She was a young, beautiful girl. Who wants an old, ugly, rich dude when you're young and beautiful? So there was a disembodied skull living in the spirit land. And he hears that this beautiful girl wants a good-looking man, and he wants to have her as his wife because she's beautiful. So he borrows people's body parts one by one and becomes a very, very perfect man. Good looking, well built, nicely, the dude had it going on. So they meet and she agrees to be his wife. And so she goes off with this skull to discover that he is really not the handsome dude she hoped for. It turns out, he lives with his mom. So she's not happy about that.
That will never be cool, no matter what period of time we're in.
Absolutely. And B, that's a red flag, big red flag. But the bigger red flag is that he lives in a land of cannibals who will eat her once they suss her out. So he takes her home, sketchy. And once his friends find out that she's a living human, they're going to eat her. But thank God he lives with his mom, because the skull's mom has grown to love her. And so she helps her and eventually sends her home safely on the wind. Puts her in the wind, Mom. Sends her home. Oh, I know. That's a nice mother-in-law. All the mother-in-laws out there could take it, a little bit of lead from that. Be nice to your daughter-in-law. Although the mother-in-law probably got her wish and sent the daughter-in-law away. So who knows? Who knows? It was a win-win anyways.
She was the mastermind the entire time.
Absolutely. So you know what? The daughter goes home. The parents are happy to see her. And she agrees to date someone from their land.
There you go.
Well, the story, there's another one. Listen to your parents. Stay in your lane.
There seem to be reoccurring themes in all these stories. And it's like, wow, if people would have actually been paying attention back then, we probably would have had fewer people being boiled in cauldrons, and we probably would have had many, many fewer stories like this to tell. I'm starting to think that these are all real stories now. I'm firmly believing that these are documentaries. They're not just fairy tales.
Oh, yes. Cautionary. They are cautionary tales. They are. Oof. But you know what? If it wasn't for all of this hardship, what would the Brothers Grimm have done with their time? They're sitting in their cabin.
They could have been writing early, Peanuts or Looney Tunes or something like that. But they chose to go this route, and they stayed the course. And, even in the stories where it seems like there's going to be something positive, there usually ends up being someone getting killed or boiled or,
100%.
struck by lightning, negative. And you do not want to have a Grimm Brothers story written about you.
No, you didn't. Oh, oof. And can you imagine a fairy tale? It really, oh my God. This handsome prince is really a Build-A-Boyfriend. So that was the original Build-A-Bear scenario, only it was Build-A-Boyfriend back in the day. And what? You're a skull with carnivores. This is great.
Yeah, living with your mom.
Oh, living with your mom. Yep. Oh my God.
I like that was a detail in this story, though, because again, age old. There were grown men living with mom way back in the day, and they were not cool then either.
No, they're not.
No offense to anybody that may be watching this that fits that bill. Well, I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
No, but it depends on the reason they're living with their mom. Some people move back home. I've known guys who have moved back home and to look after their aging parents. So they
I respect that. Yes.
They end up living with, because their father, what's happened in the people I've known, their fathers passed away first. And so they end up living with their mom and they're looking after her. So there are certain circumstances when, yes, living with your mom is cool.
Hey, my mom stayed with me for the last couple months of her life, and I would definitely not trade that for anything. So I agree. Cool. I just assumed this guy's like 40 years old. He works at the convenience store, you know. He's like the skull on the third shift. It's always out there just doing his thing. And he just has not applied himself to life. So he's, you know, he's not cool. He's got bad intentions.
He's not a Chuck.
Nope.
He's a skull.
Definitely not. And he's certainly not a Ron. So there you go. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. So that's the ungrateful son. And you know what? I will forego my last segment. I will give it to you because it's 9:45. We want to, oh, hang on 1 second. Was there a really funny one I want to share? 1 second. Oh, okay. I want to share this one story. This isn't a fairy tale. This is out of my last segment. It's funny news stories.
Oh, we love that.
Oh, this one's really funny. So in Toronto, you'd think it would be Florida man, but this guy was actually living in Toronto, Canada. He breaks into a commercial building, and because he's going to steal, I don't know what he's going to steal there. But first thing he did was stopped and ate some food. So I guess, somebody had stuff in the fridge, so he decided to eat. And he leaves scraps and things laying all over the table. So DNA evidence, number one. This guy's a dumbass. Then he left an even bigger clue because he headed over to the office printer and made a photocopy of his face.
We're going to call this, well, what's the, stupid criminals or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Now I'm all about raiding the fridge, but you can't make a copy of your face.
Like who has normally who photocopies their face? Like, it's just stupid. So you leave your own wanted poster. Like, seriously, in essence, that's what he was doing. He was making his own wanted poster because his face is on a piece of paper. Oh my God, so funny. That made me laugh. Hard. Yeah. So the police released the photo of his face that he made on their printer during the crime.
He got caught, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. He did. Okay, that's enough for me. All right, so that's enough of scary fairy tales around the world. Let's move on to our next segment.
Our next segment is
Woo!
I stayed in the coolest house on earth.
Right,
and I like that there's a Waffle House down there because that's actually the coolest house on earth. But let me tell you a little story, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
I was on my social media yesterday, and I go to this thing on Facebook called Memories. And it just shows whatever you posted on your social media account that day. For, I guess it's been like 16 years I've been doing them now. And I was watching mine, and 4 years ago, I was in anticipation of a speaking event that I was going to be doing in a few weeks, and it really triggered a tremendous memory for me. Okay. This event was down in Orlando, Florida, and I got to go down, and we stayed in the coolest house on earth for 3 days. And I've got some photos to illustrate why this was the coolest house on earth, but I'll give you a little backstory.
Okay.
So we were going down there. It was myself, and I think there were probably 8 to 10 other roofing company owners. And we were going to do a retreat, and we were going to discuss business, and we were going to, just have fun and kind of, get our community camaraderie levels up where they needed to be. And all of us were from different companies, and we were all just going down there to be with each other for the week and have some fun. And it was in a house called the Great Escape. And now the Great Escape sounds like it would be like one of those maze type things. And there were 2 rooms of that in there. But the Great Escape, there were multiple Great Escape houses. One of them was themed after like candy and ice cream. And you'd go in there and every room would have its own theme. Okay. The one that we were in was video games and board games. So I want to share my screen here to show you a little bit about what we were looking at the Great Escape. Okay, so here we go. These are some of the sites of the Great Escape. Maybe. I don't see it.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
So this is the Great Escape, right? You go into the house. The first thing you see is the fortune teller.
Very cool.
This is the Great Escape, okay? And you can tell by looking at it. There's Risk up there and Operation and Twister. So we start into the house. Outdoors, we've got all kinds of really cool, large scale, like that's the world's biggest board game.
Yep.
And I would imagine. Use giant, balls and stuff for that. You go inside the house. Look, there's rooms that are themed. Okay. This one is Xbox and PlayStation. And it has every video game ever made for those things.
Wow.
That's incredible. See the Xbox is in there, and you can literally play any game that you want on Xbox. Yes.
You can take those games off the walls and play them.
They are built into the system somehow to where you don't have to take them off the wall. They all are like somehow already incorporated into the big thing, which is awesome. Outside, you've got this giant dartboard, which you can barely see. There are soccer balls down there, and you basically stand far away and you kick the ball, and wherever it lands, you play darts. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
They had a theater. These are not in order, but the theater is pretty awesome. We'll show that here in a second. You see the giant, what do they call that? Connect Four. Yep. They've got the giant battleship game and all that stuff going on. The swimming pool is actually themed as a pool table. You can see off here to the left, that is actually a pool cue. Each one of the things is a pocket.
Wow.
And I think I'll have an aerial view of the pool here in a minute, but they would have all kinds of cool little things. Why did Skylar jump in the pool? Because she didn't want to be a hot dog.
Oh, that's so
Skylar was the owner's dog.
So cute.
You'd go in and you could play games like Deal or No Deal. There were plenty of cool casino-themed rooms, a giant chess set right in the middle of the living room. We'd be playing chess. They had the Lego guy that swallows swords. This was an overview of outside. This was my room. I stayed in the Pac-Man room, and the entire thing was themed as Pac-Man, as you could see. And basically, every one of these rooms, I believe there were 16 rooms in this house. They all had a theme. This was laser. You'd go in there, and it was like the lasers, and you'd have to like duck down and like put yourself into weird positions to get from one side to the other without tripping the lasers. The theater that they built, everything was hand painted. It was absolutely amazing. This was probably the coolest house in the world, I would say. And these are just bathrooms. The bathroom was made of Scrabble. Wow. I don't even know what that is, Minecraft, but a whole room of Twister.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to stay in that room. It's too much. Can you imagine?
Way too much. It made me dizzy and confused.
Yeah.
Pac-Man was bad enough. Twister was horrible. This is the laser room. You start on one side and you get to the other. A basic overview of this entire house. You can see the whole thing is just themed. Upstairs, you've got air hockey, you've got pool tables, you've got test of strength. You've got everything that you could possibly need in a home. And then you've got these stupid things, which is the rooms where you have to shut the door and you have to find the clues to get out of. And here's another case, Sharon, where I almost died. We got stuck in this room for like an hour. And there were about 10 or 12 of us that were stuck in the room and we couldn't get out. And I started hyperventilating and I was almost going to kick the door open, but we ended up calling the guy and he came to let us out.
So so in Canada, when you're in an escape room, they cannot lock you in. The law is the door has to be unlocked.
I like that law. See, ours was locked. And we were all in the same room together. And it was like, dude, I don't know. But I was panicking from that. And it definitely was not fun. Not like playing Plinko. I don't know if you're familiar with Plinko from the Price is Right, but we had Plinko up there.
I didn't Belinda play Twin Escape. She didn't feel like being grilled. Ah ha ha.
There you go. See, we had it going on. We had giant Scrabbles. I actually did a live podcast, and we did the World Championship skee ball live on my podcast. And I also went down the water slide. I think we're the only podcast in history to have the host go down a water slide live during the episode. I've got several firsts that I've done with Keeping It Real, but that's one that I'm pretty proud of. And you can see that these were all different themes, different things that you could go out. This is whack-a-mole, but you're a person. You get in there and you stick your head through the hole and people smash you with hammers. Very good. Scrabble. Obviously, you're all getting Z's when you're there. That's the whole point of sleeping in the Scrabble room. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was one. I don't remember what this was. I think probably Casino.
Yeah.
Pac-Man again. Pac-Man was pretty darn cool. And I didn't realize that we got to play and we could win that. But I don't think we did it anyways.
I like that kind of stuff. I would have been focused on that.
Absolutely. And I mean, there was enough there. Giant Legos, you could go in there and like you could actually step on the giant Legos and they didn't hurt you. This room was all Operation. You'd have to do the game Operation, and if you did it wrong, it would and the whole thing would start lighting up on you. Battleship. We had outdoor giant live battleship.
Very cool.
And basically this, I didn't realize I had this many photos of it. This was the coolest house ever. That's the moral of the story. My roofing guys are sending me text messages right now, which I'm sure is probably good news.
Probably. That's why they get a hold of you.
There you go.
How well their day is going.
Everything's going great. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was the great escape.
That's really cool.
They had the giant bowling there. My friend actually was in the giant bowling ball and his pants came down. So there's a memory there that I'll always have of Chuck Taylor from Indianapolis falling down and exposing himself to the world. But there you go. The great escape. It was very relaxing. We had a wonderful time. And where that, is this located, Chuck? That is in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
This guy was our chef. I don't remember his name, but he was cool. And that's my buddy Clint, who in previous episodes was the guy that got me the lessons to go flying. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I got to figure out how to get rid of this screen now. There we go.
Done and done.
Great. So there you go. I stayed in the coolest house in the world, and that only took like 4 or 5 minutes. So you still can do your other topic.
It's okay. We only have 4 minutes left. I'd rather discuss the things you did while you're in that house.
I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I did like I said, a podcast where I went down the water slide live. I think that's the only time that's ever happened. I also did a podcast one time where we were at my friend in Minneapolis got on his roof. He spent 24 hours on his roof as a publicity stunt. Okay. And I joined in the fray by having a live podcast at 3:00 in the morning from a rooftop in Minneapolis in the middle of the winter. Right so on. Couple things we've done on Keeping It Real that nobody else has ever done. And the World Skee Ball Championships here at this was also my thing. So it was pretty cool.
Why wouldn't your friend do it in the summer? If he lives in Minneapolis, why would he get up there in the middle of winter on his roof?
I guess you get more views the more you suffer.
I don't know.
He's a marketing expert who has since actually opened a roofing company. But he was doing it to market his marketing company, and he'd never been on a roof before that day.
Oh my God.
So he was literally 24 hours, and it was kind of crazy because he's up there and
a little dangerous.
Freezing. It was Minneapolis in the winter and
icy a little bit too, I would imagine.
It was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. I woke up at 3:00 in the morning so we could do a live broadcast, and that's one of my favorites of all time. It was definitely unique, but this one at the world famous Parkside Escape House was the same. I had a wonderful time. I got to do a 2-hour speech in front of all the roofing company owners there, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I've been spoiled. My career has treated me well.
Good. No, you deserve it, Chuck. You're a nice person. For sure. So you deserve all the spoiling that you get.
There you go. Okay. If anybody's listening.
And where can they find you, Chuck? Where can they find Rio Blanco Roofing?
They can find us anywhere that the internet exists. I am on social media like you would not believe. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm not on Space Hey, but I'm on everything else, I think, including my YouTube channel, Chuck Allen 210 at YouTube. You can go see over 1,600 videos on my channel, which is pretty crazy.
That's impressive.
And Rio Blanco, you can find us here in San Antonio, anywhere else in Central Texas, 833-RIO-ASAP or RioBlancoRoofing.net. We would love to be your roofing contractor of choice because we are the best. And that's where you can find me. How about you, Sharon? Where can we find you online?
Well, you can find me right now at Holy Shift Balls on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and all of the platforms that Going On Daily has, because we do our Holy Shift Balls podcast every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time right here on Going On Daily. Yeah, so this has been a great show. Thank you so much, Chuck. This has been awesome. Always fun to host with you. Always fun.
I love it. Yes. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite part of the day. Now I have to leave and actually drive to Austin, Texas, which is the most horrible place to have to drive to probably in the entire country. And it's because I made a mistake on Friday that I now have to hold myself accountable for, but I'm going to make it happen. So this is definitely the highlight of my day. I appreciate everybody that watches Going On Daily. And I do want to give a quick shout out, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
This week's episode of Keeping It Rio, which is my podcast, appears on our network Sundays at noon. This week is episode number 250. And I have got the CEO for my sponsor, Roofer, on. So I highly encourage everybody to watch that. 250 episodes down. I'm 1/10 of the way to my goal now. And if math continues to serve me, I will be dead for about 13 years by the time I get to that number. So show me some love, everybody. I'm going to do everything I can. And I'll still do these every week, 13 years after I'm dead. So it's all good.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, hopefully you're not dead for a long time there, Chuck. No more cliff jumping, and I think you'll be all right.
Nope, no more of that. No more steep roofs.
Thanks for joining us today, Hugo. Always good to have you aboard. And tomorrow we have Ron and Eric. I believe it's
Eric. I don't know Eric.
I think Eric might be new. His last name is Teotonio, potentially. So yeah, so look forward to that. Some fresh blood in here, some fresh perspective. That'll be great. And he's hanging out with Ron. Oh, Ron says he's his sports co-host. Well, that's great. They've worked together for a long time. They
do a great show. I like the sports show.
Excellent.
Maybe one day I can be invited to be a guest.
Maybe. We'll never know.
Anyways.
On that note, our host says absolutely. You put him on the spot. There you go. You're in, Chuck. You are in.
That's all you got to do.
All you got to do. Well, everybody, we wish you a wonderful day. We hope you're going to have a great day. I get to go get hypnotized right now, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, now see, you save that to the end of the episode.
We're having a hypnotist on this Thursday, and she wants to hypnotize us.
I like it.
So I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be a good day.
Well, I'm going to be tuning into that for sure. So I love it.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.